Hi, welcome to the ZP FoodSense webinar. So we like to do this webinar once a week, and it's really answering technical questions that have come in on the FoodSense Generation 4. Now, I do have a FoodSense Generation 4 in front of me, and this week it's actually going to be a little bit unusual because we normally are testing chilies, and in fact, I've got too much here to actually say. But what I want to say is, this week we're actually testing ginger. So I suppose we don't really dig into this too much, but actually, FoodSense Generation 4 is actually a multi-analyte system that we can actually do chili detection on it and also ginger on it today as well. Ginger on it as well. Now, I'm going to test some ginger powder, but let me just change screens for a second and just give you a quick, let's say, talk through on what's going on here. So the FoodSense Generation 4 is all about rapid test. In some ways, I'd actually say it's more akin to kind of glucose meters. So if you know anyone who's got, unfortunately, diabetes, they would use these kind of things like a glucose strip for testing blood glucose. And so the FoodSense Generation 4 is really bringing that kind of rapid and easy test from, that's kind of quite ubiquitous in human health, and actually bringing it to the food industry. Anyway, with that said, let me sort of jump forward and go a little bit quicker. So we're going to be measuring the gingerol in ginger products and actually determining, therefore, their kind of pungency. If you're interested in having a deeper dive into the FoodSense Generation 4 technology, then we do a webinar every month. If you're watching this after the 2nd of December 2024, don't worry, just click the link and it'll take you to the next one in the series. But we are doing one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and here we'll do a much deeper dive into testing of for food quality. Anyway, tonight I'm going to do ginger, but you can't just know there's going to be a longer webinar later on, or not later on, but by clicking that link. With that said, we are going to measure gingerol in ginger powder. Let's say now. Just to say that I have some ginger powder in front of me. You've got a photograph of it there as well. I also have some ginger sensors. I'm just leaning out because I realize I need to grab a clean ginger sensor. I'll take the ginger sensor that's on that meter. I'll take it off, which I'll do now. And I will put a clean ginger sensor into that now, which I am also doing. Bang, click, done. Right, so we've got ginger sensor, the meter, the FoodSense Generation 4 meter, the app, and the sample. So what I have previously done is I have weighed out approximately 0.1 grams of the ginger powder, which I have done. I've done it on this little balance, so it's quite easy to do. And I've actually diluted that in 0.9 milliliters of ginger buffer. So this is a buffer system that we give, and I've basically created this kind of slurry, and I may even change camera so you can see that a little bit clearer. So I've created this kind of slurry. This is what I like about the FoodSense Generation 4 product. This is not the world's cleanest sample, but I'm perfectly capable of testing it. I will test this in a minute, and when I test it, I'm going to make a deliberate mistake, but don't worry, hang with me, I can make a deliberate mistake. Then we've vortexed it. Now the vortex I've got is actually slightly out of shot. So let me just move a few items here and just bring in this vortexer, which is also slightly out of shot, but if I just tilt like that, you can see the vortexer is there. And the vortex is very good at... It really helps to shake up these kind of slurry samples really quickly. So let me just do a kind of slight recap on the sample preparation. So I've taken 0.1 grams of the chili powder. I have diluted it in 0.9 milliliters of the buffer. I vortexed it, and in fact I will now do a measurement. Now I'm going to deliberately make a mistake. Now I'll talk through that entire mistake, but I'll do it and then I'll talk about my rectification of it. So I've got a new sensor on there. I've got some pipettes here. I'll take, I'm just going to change cameras actually so you can see this a bit more clearly. I will put the sample on, which I am doing. Here I go. And I will give this a name. I'm going to call it 1 in 10 because I've done a 1 in 10 dilution on this. And I will go continue, start, and it will quite happily run along now. The first thing I can do is, I'm just going to move that so you can see that sort of more clearly. I can see these kind of flat lines, so I know that there's actually a lot. There were these little flat lines that were appearing as it was gathering that signal. So I knew there was actually a lot of material in there. So what it's now doing is it's processing the data, and it will give me back a gingerol concentration. It's given me that number, but I think there's actually an error here. And I want to show you how I think there's an error. The really good thing about the FoodSense Generation 4 is it makes a measurement, but it sends all the data to the cloud. Now, I can appreciate that what I'm about to show you is really kind of, I wouldn't sort of call it super technical, but it may be technical enough. So let me just show you what it is doing, and I will share my screen. So it's in fact what it's done is it sent the data to the cloud in real time. So while I was chatting away and it was doing the calculations, it actually sent all the raw signal to the cloud. This is very powerful. That you get a result on the phone, but actually when I was watching that result coming, I was thinking, no, that looks like there's so much signal. You know, I thought there was something up. Now I appreciate you say, well, how do I know that that's the case? Well, you can just come in and have a look at the data yourself. So I can see these really intense flat lines here. So I actually know that this is actually too much, let's say, gingerol in that sample to really get an accurate measurement. So what I'm now going to do is have a quick think. So what I did actually do earlier on is I took 1 volume of that extraction, that 1 in 10 extraction, and diluted it another 10 times with buffer. So I ended up with a 1 in 100 dilution. I'm just shaking it up, sorry, a bit. I should have. So what I'll now do is I'm now going to test that, but this is not 1 in 10. It's the 1 in 10 that's been further diluted to be 1 in 100. So I'll take one of these ginger sensors. You notice how quickly all this is? It's quick and easy, to be honest with you. I'll put the let's put the sensor in like that. I will grab a clean pipette, pipette tip I should say, which I will now do, and I will do that test and we will get the results. Right, so let me take that sample, let me put it on like that. I'm just going to give it a name actually so I can find it. I'll call it 1 in 100 because it basically is a further 1 in 100, and I think I can call that done. And I will go back here and I will go continue, but I just want to make sure that I choose the 1 in 100 dilution, which I've done. Start measurement, and off it goes. So it's now doing a test. I'll get a result. You know, and I appreciate it's only experience, but I could sort of see that the results were very intense last time. But you can always go up there and let's say check it. So it's come back with a result, 24,000, I think 600 ppm, which is actually perfect for a kind of average of gingerol in ground ginger. And I want to show you the raw signal. The reason I want to show you the raw signal is this is not some sort of, you know, make it up kind of thing. You know, this is genuinely going in there and actually measuring this molecule. Now I can appreciate that. So I'm just going to refresh here. There we are. There's my data here. And I can see that nice big intense peak here. And I can see my 24,600 ppm there as well. Now the reason I bring that up is because, you know, we can see these really nice signals. Well, last time when I was, you know, when I said, oh, actually it looks like it's a bit over, it's horrible. But that's because there was actually so much gingerol in there, it was actually distorting the data. But by going from 1 in 10 to 1 in 100 dilution, we've diluted it right down. And you would expect something like a ground ginger powder to actually, you know, by its nature, it should contain a lot of gingerol. So we have successfully measured the gingerol, I would say, in that sample. Now, what I would say is if you've got any questions of ZP, either come along to that webinar or don't hesitate to reach out to us. But I would say that at ZP, the whole sort of mindset of of this technology is how can we make rapid measurements of things like food quality, i.e. how can we rapidly measure the sort of pungency of a ginger sample, for example, the gingerol in it, and the FoodSense Generation 4 does it. You saw me do 2 tests there. 1 in 10 dilution, I kind of was like, that looks a bit too pungent. And then I did, I took the 1 in 10, diluted it 1 in 100, and then we got a nice looking signal, and we got about 24,600 ppm, which is absolutely in line with the literature if you look it up online. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Okay, thanks very much.